Well, we are always happy to welcome in the studio Will Scharf. He is an attorney for President Trump, and of course, he is running for Missouri Attorney General here on KCMO. Will, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's just start off with the last 48 hours, really more than that at this point, and what your reaction has been to what's gone on in this country. Of course, knowing President Trump as you do, working as one of his attorneys, what have the last couple of days been like for you?
You know, I think one of the defining moments in modern American history will be President Trump's immediate reaction to the assassination attempt that we all saw unfold. I think it's really important and really significant that President Trump's first thought wasn't to get himself to safety, that as the Secret Service was trying to crowd him off the stage, he didn't just sort of go with them. His first thought was to reassure the crowd and reassure the American people that he was okay. And that's how you get this incredible defiant picture of him with his fist upheld, shouting fight. But I think the most important thing, the key takeaway, is that President Trump's first thought wasn't for himself. It was for the American people. I think he's going to be our next president. I think that's almost been sealed over the last few days. I think this RNC is going to be absolutely incredible. The events last night were just amazing. So I think in that respect, everything's going really well for President Trump. It's just it's shameful that where we are as a country right now, we all had to witness what unfolded, and obviously our thoughts and prayers should be with the victims of the assassination attempt. And then yesterday we had a huge legal victory.
Yeah.
Week after week after week, we're chalking up major victories for President Trump in court. Yesterday, the Florida documents case, many legal commentators called it the most threatening of all the cases. That was absolutely dismissed in its entirety by Judge Cannon on the ground that Jack Smith was unconstitutionally appointed and funded. This is an argument we've been making for a while. The mainstream media all wailed and said that we were crazy. Well, we don't look so crazy anymore, and we're certainly very happy that Judge Cannon did what she did. We're going to have to defend her opinion on appeal. We're ready to do that. But this is just another nail in the coffin of the Biden campaign of lawfare against President Trump.
What do you say? I mean, what's your legal opinion on this? Because I saw a lot of people on the other side saying, well, using Judge Cannon's reasoning in dismissing the documents case, does this now mean that, Hunter Biden's case could be dismissed because of a special counsel appointment?
No, totally different. So the core issue with Jack Smith's appointment in particular is that Jack Smith was never appointed by a president and confirmed by the Senate. He didn't go through that constitutional process. So when you look at the other special counsels that are operating presently, that would include Robert Hur, who investigated President Biden, Weiss, who's investigating Hunter Biden. They're typically U.S. attorneys or they're other DOJ officials who have been through that appointment and confirmation process, and that's what allows them to exercise the powers that they exercise as special counsels. Jack Smith was just a random dude. He was in practical exile at The Hague. I believe he was just a private citizen prosecuting the former president of Kosovo. He had this incredible reputation as a man who would run roughshod over the law to sort of get his guy. That's the Bob McDonnell case where he basically politically persecuted a Republican governor in Virginia. That's why I believe he was appointed to go after President Trump. But Jack Smith had never been through appointment and confirmation. He has absolutely no right to exercise the weighty powers that he's been exercising. And Judge Cannon rightfully called that out. Clarence Thomas, in a concurrence in our presidential immunity case, said exactly the same thing, that Jack Smith's appointment is wildly unconstitutional.
Wow. Will Scharf is here on KCMO. He's running for Missouri Attorney General. You've been in Kansas City. I said to you off the air, I said, how long you been here? You said, I think 2 days, but I'm not really sure. So that sounds like a guy who's 3 weeks out from a campaign. So what's been going on the trail as you go around and you make this bid to be the Attorney General against somebody who has been in the office, and a lot of Missourians are kind of looking at it and saying, okay, seems like he's doing a good job, but you're trying to fight that battle, and people want to know why.
We're having a ton of fun. We were at the Jackson County Republican Party ice cream social the other day. We were with Platte County Federated Republican Women last night. As we get the message out, we feel like the grassroots conservatives all over the state are really turning towards our campaign. Yesterday, news came out that in 2023, Andrew Bailey's office had paid out over twice as much in legal judgments. That's your taxpayer dollars than in any previous year in the history of the Attorney General's office. Paid out more in a single year in legal judgments, that's cases where his office lost, than Eric Schmidt did over 4 years as Attorney General. He's lost cases to Planned Parenthood. He lost a major First Amendment case at the U.S. Supreme Court, Missouri v. Biden. We've seen this play out, whether it's on crime, whether it's on key constitutional cases. That office is a mess. They're running a highly effective press operation, but a thoroughly B or C list legal operation. I believe the people of Missouri deserve better, and I think that's why we're going to win in August.
What, in your experience, sets you up to be the person to run a large-scale operation like this that is maybe more efficient with the taxpayer dollars and can either take fewer cases or win more cases?
Yeah, I mean, you look at my experience as one of the leaders on President Trump's legal team. I mean, we are juggling all in all over a dozen different significant pieces of litigation at a given time, coordinating with dozens of lawyers around the country. That's the sort of experience I bring to the table. And at this point, I'm a proven winner. We've won repeatedly for President Trump at the U.S. Supreme Court. I have a history of winning bigly for the conservative movement. I think that's in sharp contrast to the actual results we've been seeing out of Andrew Bailey's office.
What's the one thing that if you get in there, Will Scharf, as the next Attorney General of Missouri, you're doing or you're pursuing that maybe your opponent would not pursue, would not go after?
Investigate Desi. When we look at the deep state bureaucrats in Jefferson City, who I believe just view themselves as being totally politically unaccountable, the abuses that we see from that city, it's just astounding. We have a deep red state with a deep blue bureaucracy, and nowhere is that more clear than with the State Department of Education. This is a department with a budget of $10 billion, over 1,800 employees. Less than 1 in 4 Missouri 8th graders are proficient in math and reading, and yet that department's principal focus seems to be in infecting our schools with wokeism. I think they're long overdue for an investigation. I think they're violating state law in numerous ways. I'll hold them accountable on day one.
And is that one of those things where do you think the establishment across the board would be shaken up by an investigation like that?
I think the establishment needs to be shaken up across the board. I think that we have this situation in Jefferson City today where we have a very cozy relationship between lobbyists and special interests and political insiders on the one hand, politicians on the other, and then the deep state bureaucrats on the third. And until we break that triangle, until we get in and really disrupt the system that we have in Jefferson City, we're going to keep getting more of the same. And more of the same is just it's lousy results for the state of Missouri. It's our streets overrun with crime, our schools overrun with wokeism, the budget doubling in the last 5 years. The results we've been getting out of Jefferson City are unacceptable, and I believe the people of Missouri know it's time for a change.
Will Scharf, I want to ask you about the selection yesterday as we wrap it up with J.D. Vance getting picked by Donald Trump as his running mate. Your reaction to that news?
J.D.'s outstanding. I've known him for a while. He's an incredible guy, a brilliant mind, incredibly compelling story, obviously. But more than that, President Trump has just stamped the MAGA agenda as the future of the Republican Party. You know, he could have picked an older candidate like Ben Carson or Doug Burgum. Instead, he picked a young firebrand in J.D. Vance, who is going to be one of the definitive figures in American politics for decades to come. And I'm just really excited to see how that plays out.
What, you guys have a history together, you and J.D.? You know each other a little bit?
I met him actually when he was in law school. And
really?
We've just crossed paths over the years. His chief of staff's a good friend of mine. He's just an incredible guy, and you know he is what he comes across as, which is just viscerally intelligent, deeply committed to the MAGA agenda and to the sort of principles that we hold dear. He's just an outstanding pick.
Will Scharf running for Attorney General in Missouri, 3 weeks to go until Election Day, of course, and we're going to be covering it. This is one of the most intriguing races we've got in the entire region. Will, thanks for being here. Glad you enjoyed the time in Kansas City. I know you'll be back. We'll talk to you soon.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.